weeks, so we thought we'd bring in our experts to tell you what are the real solutions that can drive change, not just firefighting efforts that don't go beyond small-term impact. And then on the Breakfast Club, we bring you a story that inspires and makes us crave dosas. That's correct. Our first person of interest this morning is Mohan. He's the founder of Dosama, a food chain that has reimagined the humble dosa and has found fans across generations and across countries. And finally, we meet Negi, a young 9-year-old footballer who caught the attention of scouts and is now training inside a Premier League club's youth system. We'll talk about that and much more this morning on The Breakfast Club. Well, Delhi's air problem did not begin just this week. It will not end this week either. What we want to start with this morning on The Breakfast Club is some real-time updates. Remember, the situation over the weekend was far worse than what we'd seen the last few days. Slightly better this morning. We'll take you through the numbers live here. This is the real-time AQI data. I'm going to go to all of those stations that are reporting AQI in red. So 308. Once again, AQI in the hazardous category. This is in Noida, where we are currently at. Look at the other data that we're looking at here. Wazirpur in the national capital also showing AQI at 330, 365 AQI at Jahangirpuri. Also, pockets where we see Vivek Vihar 302. Pockets where we see AQI decrease a tad bit. So let's look at 190. This is Mandir Marg. This is, of course, in the heart of the national capital, the Delhi Cant area. That is showing the AQI at 190. So that's come in as a huge relief, something that we've possibly not seen in the last few days, because over the weekend, do remember, AQI touched 400, 500 and several pockets of the national capital. Look up here, 297. This is ITO, once again in the heart of the national capital, 297. So there's been a decrease compared to the AQI all of yesterday and through the weekend, which takes us to the big question. And we need to shift our focus this morning, viewers, to what really are the urgent measures that have kicked in, how much of a difference have they made, and what really can they do. So let's talk about the entire focus that currently experts are highlighting. And speaking of, before we bring in our guest this morning, it's important to understand what actually goes wrong and what fixing it really involves. Cleaning Delhi's air is not a quick fix. Pollution builds up over months and years. Short-term curbs can bring temporary relief, yes, but they don't reset air quality. Experts say real improvement comes only from sustained year-round emission cuts. That means consistency, not just emergency steps when the air turns toxic. Let's also talk about AQI, because there is a lot of confusion around the same. AQI is a health index, not a direct measure of how polluted the air truly is. It reflects the worst pollutant at a given time. Extreme readings are grouped into a single severe category, which is why AQI can also appear to cap out even when pollution worsens. And that really brings us to the entire debate of why is it that some stations, local stations, are showing AQI at more than 800 vis-a-vis the other stations reporting AQI at 400 or 500 at the same time. The scale is designed to guide health warnings and not to capture every spike in pollution. That explains the story there. This also explains the debate around sensors. Official monitors follow standard locations and methods. Local sensors can show sharper spikes in small pockets. Different devices average data differently, so short bursts of very high pollution may not always show up clearly in AQI readings. One of the most common responses is vehicle curbs, but road transport is only one part of Delhi's pollution. Restricting select vehicles leaves most traffic unchanged, congestion and idling continues, and other diesel use outside restricted zones adds to the load. This is exactly why experts say vehicle bans alone barely help solve the crisis. So what works better than blanket bans? Expanding public transport cuts emissions at scale, shifting freight movement away from roads reduces truck pollution, stricter industrial emission standards bring long-lasting gains. Experts say prevention works better than emergency control. And then there's stubble burning. Farm fire counts have shown periodic decline, especially in 2025, but even reduced burning continues to impact Delhi's air. Smoke travels long distances with winter winds. Local improvements inside the city cannot block regional inflow, and experts say farm solutions need incentives and alternatives if the problem is complex and long-term. How should Delhi respond differently? That's the question we're going to take across to our guests joining us this morning. And allow me to introduce this morning our first guest who's going to be decoding this entire phenomena for us and what really can be done to tackle this problem. Jaydhar Gupta, clean air activist and environmentalist, is joining us on the Breakfast Club this morning. Mr. Gupta, good morning to you. Mr. Gupta, the one question being asked by everyone who's waking up to this poisonous air is, why are we dealing with this year in and out? It's an annual problem and slowly it's expanding beyond just the winter months. Where do you think we're failing as a society in terms of governance, policy reform and citizen ownership? What do you think is the biggest problem here?
I think the biggest problem is the apathy towards health and environment. We are so motivated by a $5 trillion economy agenda, and that agenda actually directly conflicts with the agenda of climate and air pollution. So we are firmly in episode 2 of the peak air pollution season. This typically starts around mid-December and lasts until the first week of February. We have very poor to hazardous air for about, I would say, about 9 months of the year. The only time we have moderate air, not good air, is the monsoon time. What is it going to take? Well, if we look at kind of the other cities and countries around the world that have tackled air pollution, it's very simple. We know all the sources of emissions. We need to incentivize good behavior and penalize bad behavior. If I was, in government today, I would ban all private vehicles in Delhi, for I don't know, 7 to 15 days, and I would make public transportation free. So the only mobility I would allow in Delhi is, EVs and maybe even CNG if you want to, give that leeway and make public transportation free. And this is what Paris does. On an AQI, when the AQI touches 150, which is their state of emergency, a good day in Delhi, relatively, that's what Paris does. So that's a very small example of, the polluter pay principle. I mean, we have so many industries in Delhi that are polluting like hell. There is absolutely no enforcement. We had a fireworks ban for 10 years. Of course, the current government, due to faith-based politics, kind of took that away from us as well, so that we, Delhi kind of burnt in hell this Diwali. So
Mr.
we are
Jaydhar,
making decisions based on
You're speaking
faith.
of a few strict measures, a few strict executions, but a huge part in what you're suggesting is going to be played by the citizens themselves. Now, you spoke of Paris. There are other countries like US, also in Europe, for instance. If AQI was to reach this level, we would see a complete shutdown, yes. But are we ready to accept that? As citizens, are we ready to go that way? Do you think half the problem lies there as well? All of us are crying out loud day in and out, but are we really ready to give up on our private vehicles and use public transport instead?
I'm very glad you asked that question, because for years I pointed, fingers at the politicians, and I pointed fingers at everybody around me, friends and family, and then I firmly started pointing a finger at myself. I think we all, whether it's an RWA, whether it's a school, whether it's a business, or you as an individual, you need your own graded response action plan. Okay, unless we all change behavior and reduce our carbon footprint and reduce whatever it is that we're doing to create this pollution, because we are the pollution. This is a man-made problem. Okay, this is not a
Okay,
natural
Mr.
disaster.
Jayadhar, I'm going to request you to just quickly check your Wi-Fi connection. We don't have a very clear audio line with you. We'll come back to you in just a few seconds. Allow me some time. In the meanwhile, I do want to go across to our second guest joining us this morning. Bharti Chaturvedi, Director at Chintan Environmental Research, is with us this morning. Bharti ji, good morning. Thank you for being with us here. This is a conversation that we're having on an everyday basis, and this is not just limited to our workstations, and that's what I began by talking about. Right now, since once again we're trying to decode this worrying phenomena that we're witnessing in the National Capital Region year in and out, where do you think we're failing in recognizing the primary contributors of air pollution? So there's one conversation that's going on around how the entire Delhi NCR region is situated in this belt which is completely land-boxed, and that gives us a geographical disadvantage which plays a huge role every winters. There's another conversation that's going on regional contributors, and then there's a third conversation that's going on other regional factors like stubble burning, etc. Now, amidst this kind of a blame game in trying to identify which one of these plays the biggest role, we're losing out on a lot of time. Bharti ji, what should be done urgently?
Yeah, I think firstly we are, but secondly, I think more importantly, we know that, for example, vehicular transport, vehicular pollution is a significant thing. We know that, thermal plants, coal-based thermal plants, do not have a flue gas desulfurization, and that is leading to a lot of SOx, and that's a problem. And we also know that these are the kind of big issues that take a lot of guts to kind of address, because it's not easy, and it's going to be very, very should I say, it's going to be very difficult for the government to actually say we're going to cut down private transport. So I think where we're going wrong is, I think we need a government that's less interested in pleasing and being populist. I think at this point, we just want really strict action. And we've not seen that, for over 14 years. And that's why that's why we keep doing GRAP all the time instead of actually being in no need for GRAP. So I think that's where we have a crisis right now.
So would you say that these kind of pollution control measures are seasonal and reactive, and that's exactly what we don't need? We actually need something that is implemented or stays put for the whole year. And do you think that's a realistic scenario? Do you think we can get to that point?
Well, there is no other scenario. So we better get to that point. We just cannot have a situation where we just do band-aid things like GRAP and, shut down tandoors. So there is no option. This is a huge thing. It's the single biggest killer in our country. It's bigger than the pandemic. So we really have to push this.
Okay, Bharti, I'll come back to you in just a bit. Dr. Sanjeev Bhagaya, third guest this morning, joins us, Padma Shri Awardee and Chairman of Nephron Clinic. Good morning, Dr. Bhagaya, always a pleasure.
Good morning.
Dr. Bhagaya, one thing which is being spoken of, and it's become so worrying for parents because there's a sense of guilt that parents are carrying with them in staying put in the National Capital Region, working out of Delhi NCR. Some can afford to move away for a few days, but not all of them have that kind of privilege. And the guilt is because of this very reason, doctors warning that children are actually carrying lungs of chain smokers. Are we knowingly sacrificing an entire generation, Dr. Bhagaya?
Good morning. So, I think unless and until we don't realize and recognize what the real core origin of the problem is, we will be going round in circles like we've been doing for the last almost 2 decades in Delhi. We got to identify what the origin and the cause of each line item is. So each particular co-pollutant has a particular cause and effect. So for example, we for the last 10 years, 12 years, we've not been able to sort out the traffic or the road dust. We've not been able to sort out the waste disposal on a large scale in Delhi. Uh, Children are more affected because, especially the children under the age group of 5 and going up to the age group of 18 to 20, because children breathe twice as fast as adults. So they breathe in 2 times the volume of the pollutants. Their lung capacity is limited as compared to adults, and so is the immunity. The capacity to fight off the pollutions or the particulate matter is limited. The organs are still being developed and we start damaging them. Even the pregnancies are being affected. The unborn fetus is being affected with structural abnormalities, congenital heart, absent limbs, deformities of the brain. This is nothing short of being criminal. Remember, even 1 year preconception, that means even before a young lady plans to conceive, if she is exposed to this level of pollution, the DNAs are damaged. That means your chromosomes are breaking internally, and therefore the next generations are already being affected. This is not what we owe to the next generation. This is not what we owe to our children. This is not the legacy which we want to give going forward. We have only one thing to give is protect the nature, protect the environment. If the pollution of this level is going to be circulating in us, we are bound to have great damage. 22 units of AQI increase is equivalent to smoking 1 cigarette. In equivalence, you lose 10 to 11 years of adult life living in Delhi over a period of few decades. It is equivalent to smoking 7,000 cigarettes per year living in Delhi for people who are never smokers. That means never smokers have an escalated risk of lung cancer, which is not fair to any person who is a tax-paying loyal citizen. But it's not only the government's responsibility, it is each citizen's responsibility to look after our own environment.
And since you spoke of health, recent Lancet reports, particularly the 2025 countdown on health and climate change, and I want to just pull out those numbers for everyone watching this. They've highlighted that air pollution is a massive killer, especially in India, claiming over 1.7 million lives in 2022. So this goes back to 2022, and all of this due to fossil fuels, increasing mortality by 38% since 2010. And this also costs India nearly 9.5% of its GDP. We're yet to read up on figures from 24-25. Again, we've seen scary air pollution levels through these 2 years as well. Mr. Jayadhar, there are several studies that keep coming out. Every second day, third day, there's another study out. There's a study that points to how we've seen a decrease in stubble burning this year, a slight decrease last year, 2024 onwards, in fact. Despite that, we're seeing the AQI where it stands today. Despite other anti-pollution measures that have been enforced, we see air pollution at 450, 500, and that was the situation over the weekend. So stricter measures need to be taken. If I were to ask you 3 things that we can do in the interim, that we can sort of stretch for a longer period of time, that takes into account our pollution levels through the year and are realistic as well. It's a tough question, but what do you think those 3 ideas would be?
I would issue health advisories. I think there's a knowledge gap. I don't think people understand what air pollution is and what its health effects are. I think that's number one, because awareness precedes change. We have I don't know what the reason is, but I've been following this for 12 years now, since 2014, since I was a victim of air pollution and was diagnosed with damaged lungs. There's been no health advisory. People don't know. I mean, yesterday, the number of Christmas melas and faiths in schools across Delhi, I think Bharti also sent me something of my school, modern school, Vasant Vihar. These are educated people who are, participating in faiths and melas and Christmas markets. People don't understand the health impact of being outdoors in AQI of 600-700. The first thing I would do is health advisories.
people have to know the health impacts, because if people understand the health impacts, trust me, they would vote for clean air. I mean, I'm just shocked that we have had three elections in Delhi, 2015, 20, and now 25, and we have not voted for clean air. I think that's step number one. Okay. Citizens have got to understand that, if we don't have a government that has a focus on health and environment, we've got to be the change. Okay. So schools, RWAs, everybody's got to engage and, in changing behavior. If we don't change behavior, I mean, the only way to solve the problem of air pollution, climate change is behavioral change. And behavioral change comes from incentivizing good behavior and penalizing bad behavior.
Mr. Jainal, you spoke a little while ago of the lockdown days. All vehicles need to be banned for a certain days, etc. But are those measures something that you think we can implement long term? Can we entirely shift to that model, or would you say that those are just interim measures that need to be taken? Because a lot of people are going to be up in arms and say that's not how you're supposed to live your entire life.
No, so, it forces government and society to move towards public transportation and EV mobility or shared mobility. I'm not a big believer in private, passenger vehicles. I mean, I think we need EV mobility, we need shared mobility, and we need public transportation. I mean, look at Singapore, look at London. I mean, how many people have private vehicles? And those are all, places that have an air pollution problem. I don't think there's any city in the world that does not have an air pollution problem. But, we are talking about PM 2.5 levels, like Dr. Bagai said, the health effects. The safe level of PM 2.5 is 5 micrograms per cubic meter. A 10 microgram increase in that increases your, probability of acquiring lung cancer by 8.6%. And, our PM 2.5 is off the charts. Yeah. And, we're not talking about spikes of, Diwali where we reach 1700 or 2000. We are talking about long-term exposure. I mean, this is going to last from Dussehra to Holi every year.
Yeah.
How, and we're just taking it as like, okay, winter is here. It's like, Game of Thrones, winter is coming. We start seeing that everywhere before Dussehra. And it's like an ominous kind of thing, like winter is coming. And winter used to be the best time in Delhi. I mean, how are citizens not engaging? I don't understand.
The other thing the government keeps saying, Mr. Jaidhar, and I don't want to get into politics at all this morning. The other thing they keep saying is none of this can change overnight. And that's correct to an extent, because China did it over a 5-year action plan. And finally, we've seen the kind of difference we've seen over the last 10 years. So it's taken a decade to really reverse the situation. But Bharti, the one thing that we keep hearing is how Delhi's landlocked geography, low wind speeds, etc. are also to be blamed. And yes, they are to be blamed, but do you think they're also a big handicap? And a big part of the problem is that. And how do you really cross this one barrier? So you do everything it takes, and yet you're stuck in this situation because where you're placed geographically.
Well, the first thing is we have not done everything it takes, and I think that's the most important thing. Of course, many cities have various problems. Look at Mumbai. Mumbai always said that the sea breeze, blew away all the pollution until such time that it couldn't do that anymore because it was so highly polluted at so many levels, with so many factors. So similarly, yeah, sure, we know Delhi is a part of the, IGP, and we appreciate that. But that doesn't really mean very much if you're not going to do drastic things anyway to reduce it. So I wouldn't really stand behind this fig leaf. I would take the drastic actions, and sure, you would probably need even more drastic actions because of geography. But we've done nothing till now. Look at what Dr. Bagai is telling us. That should frighten everybody.
Yeah.
But it's frightening everybody, but it's not necessarily fighting those responsible to make these changes.
Dr. Bagai, you spoke of the long-term impact of growing up in a city like Delhi, and we also touched upon how this is so worrying for parents, let alone their own health. They're really worried about their children growing up in cities like these. Now, we need to wrap up this conversation, and we don't have enough time to talk about what needs to be spoken of. It's a conversation that needs to keep going on and on and on until we see action on ground take place, Dr. Bagai. But for all parents watching this and worrying because they can't give up on the city already, go to a cleaner city for 10 days, 15 days, 1 month, what should they do to protect their health and their children's health? What are the few steps that you would want to leave us with that we can look at least in individually looking out for our health?
I think if you don't prepare for the correct subject and the syllabus is prepared well, you can't pass any exam. So the first point is a sense of realization. I have said this for years together, keeping a GRAP at 300 to 400 and 500 level recognition. GRAP 4 is not, or GRAP 5 or GRAP 10 is not going to solve the pollution. Any AQI which is more than 150 to 200 is harming our lungs, brains, hearts, eyes, kidneys, you name the organ. 400 and 500 is too little, too late. The people who are the most vulnerable are children. Unfortunately, we got to relook at our syllabus preparation through the year so that we can keep a buffer of at least a month during the winter period where kids may lose out some school days. The vulnerable who have already had history of wheezing or asthma or allergies need to take the prophylactic medicines such as inhalers. No self-medication. Protect yourself with a well-fitting N95 mask. A cloth mask or indeed a surgical mask which is open from the sides is practically useless. Important point of concern is there is a 20% underestimation of the AQI because PM 2.5 particles have an aggregation effect, so they form small particles gathered together to form a larger particle, so there is an undercounting from a physics point of view. We are not talking of the heavy metals and micro nanoplastics. No one is speaking of the toxic gases and hydrofluorocarbons and volatile organic compounds. The co-pollutants together, such as heavy metals, activate the micro nanoplastics to form what we call as super ions. These are the positive charge ions which penetrate deeper into the body. Highest cause of infertility, obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, heart attacks, Alzheimer's, dementia, brain loss, volume loss, fetal damage is because of the co-pollutants. The first step is to recognize what the issues are and realize we've gone wrong in a few aspects over the past few decades. Take the measures. Have a separate high-power task force which is independent. Give them an iron hand to implement. The law must be strict. The polluting industries must move out. The farm fires have to stop. I'm very surprised that the road dust has still not been able to be contained. You can't have brooming on the roads from the MCD. All what you're doing is you're relocating the dust from point A to point B, but in the process gifting the nearby citizens of it being suspended in the air for many hours.
Temporary measures is what we're seeing. So even water sprinklers are doing just that. Dr. Bagai, we're run out of time, but what you're telling us prompts us to that one thing that we've been saying. As citizens, we've been repeating that we do need toughest of anti-pollution measures. And at the same time, as citizens, we must keep in mind once and if that does take place, we're all supposed to welcome it with open arms. So that's another part of the important story that we must highlight here on the Breakfast Club. But to the three of you, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for giving us all those important perspectives, something that we must keep in our minds and continue to work towards. We head into a very short break. With that, our person of interest this morning coming up right after the quick breather is Mohan. He's the founder of Dosa. It's a food chain which has now spread out across the world, began from Paris, now in India. We'll talk about this story in just a bit.
Delhi's toxic air has sparked outrage once again. The capital's air quality index touched 498 yesterday morning before settling at 427 by evening, keeping Delhi firmly in the severe category for the third straight day.
We have another breaking news coming in we're given to understand that controversy has erupted after Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is seen pulling down a Muslim woman doctor's hijab during an appointment letter event in Patna. The viral video shocked officials and Deputy Chief Minister intervening, triggering outrage over conduct and cultural sensitivity at a government function. Opposition slams Nitish Kumar, questions his mental state. Have a look.
मेरा नहीं बल्कि पूरे देश की जनता का खून खोल उठा होगा यकीनन। नीतीश कुमार एक प्रोग्राम में एक महिला के नकाब को खींचते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। आप एक तरफ महिलाओं के सम्मान की बात करते हैं और दूसरी तरफ आप एक कार्यक्रम में महिलाओं का अपमान कर रहे हैं। पूरे देश की जनता से माफी मांगनी होगी। इस पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को भी एक्शन लेना चाहिए और ऐसे नेताओं को अपनी हरकतों से बात।
We have another breaking news coming in. We're given to understand that controversy has erupted after Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is seen pulling down a Muslim woman doctor's hijab during an appointment letter event in Patna. The viral video shocked officials and Deputy Chief Minister intervening, triggering outrage over conduct and cultural sensitivity at a government function. Opposition slams Nitish Kumar, questions his mental state. Have a look.
मेरा नहीं बल्कि पूरे देश की जनता का खून खोल उठा होगा यकीनन। नीतीश कुमार एक प्रोग्राम में एक महिला के नकाब को खींचते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। आप एक तरफ महिलाओं के सम्मान की बात करते हैं और दूसरी तरफ आप एक कार्यक्रम में महिलाओं का अपमान कर रहे हैं। पूरे देश की जनता से माफी मांगनी होगी। इस पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को भी एक्शन लेना चाहिए और ऐसे नेताओं को अपनी हरकतों से बाज रहना चाहिए।
देखिए, ये मैं शब्दों पे बखान नहीं कर सकती। वो बुजुर्ग हैं लेकिन ये बर्दाश्त के काबिल नहीं है। आपने एक महिला का जिस तरफ से हिजाब को, मैंने भी वीडियो देखा, हटाने की कोशिश की, ये बहुत शर्मनाक है, बहुत शर्मनाक है। और अगर एक महिला होने के नाते ये आप किसी का हिजाब या सोचिए कि कोई दुपट्टा ओढ़ा हुआ है, आप उसको हटा रहे हैं, तो ये बिल्कुल बर्दाश्त के काबिल नहीं है। और मुझे लगता है कि इसमें हम लोग क्या ही कहें। उनको खुद पे अगर ग्लानि हो तो उनको खुद रिजाइन देना चाहिए। ये महिलाओं का बहुत बड़ा अपमान हुआ है।
So we have CNN News 18's Arunima live with us right now. Arunima, good morning and thank you for joining us on the broadcast. So, you know, a lot of people are there actually who are against the concept of hijab. We all know that. They are against the concept because they feel that it's taking away from hiding someone's identity, a woman's identity especially. But what explanation does the Chief Minister offer for physically pulling down the doctor's hijab publicly, and does he acknowledge that his actions crossed personal, professional and constitutional boundaries?
It's all about consent. People who are criticizing Nitish Kumar are pointing out that it is the woman's choice. I mean, you might have your own ideological position is humiliated in this way. And the reason they are using the word humiliation is because it is her consent is not taken. And the video also, at the end of the video, when her niqab is forcibly taken off, you see visible discomfort on her face. There are people on the stage who are laughing, not realizing the gravity of the situation. She's a doctor who's an Ayush doctor who was getting an appointment letter at the Chief Minister's residence. It was a public event, and people who practice hijab and niqab, especially you see actors like Zahira Parveen, who's earlier acted with Amir Khan in movies like Dangal. Also others, they're all Ikra Hassan. She's the member of parliament from Kirana. They're all pointing out that women who practice hijab and niqab, they feel humiliated.
Welcome back. This morning, our person of interest is Mohan Kumar Velu, who is the co-founder of Dosama, a restaurant taking Indian food international. He left a high-paying job in Germany to build something rooted in the food he grew up with, not to reinvent it, but to serve it in an authentic way. He began Dosama with a simple goal to introduce world to India's rich culinary heritage, and today it has found space in cities like Paris and London without losing Indian flavors and traditional cooking. Let's quickly go over to him to understand all about his journey of building Dosama from the scratch. Hi Mohan, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on the Breakfast Club. Tell us first up, what was that one moment when you realized you wanted to switch paths entirely and start a dosa restaurant of your own, and that too in Paris?
Right. So actually, as you know, like I studied in France. I studied in Paris. So from that time, it was like missing home and then missing home food, and that's the thing which I've been facing. Not just me, and with my couple of friends also. So we are all facing the same thing. Like we want to eat a good dosa, but we couldn't find one. So that is the reason. Like we were thinking, okay, maybe we start something with the dosa. So that's how the idea started. But then also, like I get a chance to study with a lot of people, like a lot of international people, and to experience and experiment their cuisine and everything. And I had also a chance to give our cuisine to them. So one thing which stuck was like when we gave dosa to everybody, they're all like starstruck, like, oh, really, this is a vegetarian food and this tastes so good, like, because all the vegetarian they know is salad and everything. So when we give dosa, they were like quite surprised and they couldn't stop with one. So that's where the idea all started, like, okay, this is something we also missing, and also at the same time, people all over the world, they enjoy this food, but this is not very common everywhere, and people don't know about it. That's where the dosa idea actually started.
Okay, Mohan, now you must tell us this. How did your family and friends react when you told them that you're going to be leaving a well-paid job for opening a restaurant and starting from scratch, literally?
They are not happy, to be honest. Like, nobody was happy. As in, I mean, they have still, they have trust me, but then still, that, okay, you went all the way there to study, and then you were doing something into electronics, and all of a sudden you leaving a job. Like, I still remember my mom was saying, I mean, if you leave the job, then how will you survive there? Like, I'm gonna start a restaurant. Okay, so you'll eat food from there, like she was saying. So she all she knows is like, I'm leaving a job and then I'm going to work in a restaurant. She doesn't have an idea that I'm going to start a restaurant, and then I going to earn something out of it, and she doesn't have that idea. She was like, okay, like you're gonna start a restaurant and then you're gonna be there, and then so something like that. So my family, they were like quite skeptical in the beginning. Because already there I'm into electronics, and this is a complete career switch. So nobody was like how this works, and then nobody from my family, they're into business or they're into any sort of restaurant industry or anything. So with no prior experience, I'm doing something like this with my friends. So they were like not so happy initially, but then later, I made them understand, and like, okay, like I'm doing this, and this is not just going to be, I'm going to make a dosa and they be there and everything. So I'll just explain them, and they were quite happy after.
And today they're on top of the moon looking at you spread love through your dosas. More lovely. Now tell us, when did this entire journey begin for you? When did you first open your restaurant in Paris? Right now we do know that you've opened one recently in Pune, which is your first chain in India, first food chain in India. Are you planning on expanding in India itself? Where are you going to be opening a restaurant next? Tell us more.
So we started in 2023, around September, in Paris, in Pigalle. It's like a French tourist area. as you can imagine, like a lot of French people over there, not majorly Indians, because most in abroad countries they open Indian restaurant in Indians area because they attract more Indian crowds. But for us, we want a mix, like we want others and everybody to try out. So we opened our first outlet in Pigalle in 2023. Then in over a 6 month of period, we opened one in Paris, one more, like that is in a proper Little India, you can call it. Like that is the Paris Gare du Nord. So the Little India, we opened there. And in another 6 months, we are able to open in London.
Wow.
Then in next 6 months again, we are now in Pune. So now we have plans going on that to open one more outlet in London, which is the works still going on. And then with respect to Pune, we are aiming to open one more outlet in Pune only. And then we are planning to scale here first in Pune and then grow the community and then the brand stronger here. And then to slowly to move to other cities.
So
that's
2 outlets in the
overall
pipeline.
plan.
2 outlets in the pipeline and many more coming up. Okay. Mohan, how are you so hopeful that Dosama would work in Europe? You spoke of how you opened it in the middle of a French colony. Any experiments you carried out before going all in? What all did you have to experiment, put to test before really putting it out there?
Not really. Like the first outlet itself is a smaller one. It's not something we opened something very big in Paris. So we have been planning this for quite a while. It's not just one day we put this thought and then next day we quit the job and everything. But this thought has been going on throughout the studies. Like from the very beginning of the masters, I've been thinking on this, and me and my friends were discussing on this. So we have to start something and like this. But for that idea time, like we were doing our background work and everything, we are calling a lot of people and we are making a taste testing sessions and see what they like, and or is there something else we can do with South Indian or Indian in general? Okay, so we have been doing all these things.
Okay. Mohan, you must also tell us, is it challenging to maintain authenticity of flavors while still catering to global audiences and their taste palette? Did you have to make any changes to your dosa making to cater to that audience?
Right, definitely we did actually. It was very challenging. That's a very good question though. The reason is, that's why the reason we maintained certain categories. So we have categories like classics, which is you get what you get in South India. Okay, how you get anywhere you go to South India, you get that same level of spice and same taste and everything. So we have a classic category, and then there is a fusion category, which is to adapt to the local taste palettes. Because if you go to France and then you tell Podi masala dosa and that level of spice they cannot handle. And then even the chutneys and things like that, we tone down a bit for those particular dosas. And for people who want the authentic taste, they have a separate category which comes under the classic. And then in the fusion, we had we even have avocado dosa, butter garlic dosa. This is to penetrate into the market and to adjust to their taste palettes. So at least for them to have a try, like that is something familiar for them. Like avocado is something very familiar, butter garlic is very familiar, cheese dosa is very familiar. So they come and try, okay, let me get one avocado Indian crepe, or let me get one butter garlic Indian crepe. And now they enter and then they try next, like, okay, masala dosa is good. Okay, we'll try onion dosa. Like, we'll try uttapam. That's how it all started.
Okay, more lovely. Now tell us, you have one outlet in Pune already. You're already working on the second outlet in Pune itself, and then you're going to move on to other cities in India. What has been the comparison? What differences you've seen in how the Indian customer responds vis-a-vis your European crowd?
First thing is like Europeans, they don't know what is the product. So we have to explain each and everything to them. But once they get in and then they have a bite of our dosa, then they keep coming and then they're going to be repeating and things like that. So I would say in terms of response wise, one thing is very common between both the Indian crowd and then the European crowd. European crowd, initially they don't know what is it, and then they will come and try it. But Indian crowd, they know already what is dosa, they know what is masala dosa, they know what is bene dosa and everything. You don't have to explain. But in both the cases, they take a bite and then there is no going back. So I can really guarantee that even yesterday, people, I mean, they came by mistake that, like they were searching for other South Indian restaurant and then they came here. Then they were like, okay, let's try one dosa and then we'll go to the place they wanted to go. Then I was like, okay, you can give a try of one dosa. And then they had one dosa. You know what they ended up? They ended up buying dosas for their family with the parcel, and they ate like 3-4 dosas and then they left the place. So, that thing is very common between the European crowd and then Indian crowd. So even there, they come and give a try with one masala crepe, and then they eat one more, and then they take a parcel for their family.
Okay, as we come to the end of this conversation, Mohan, what would your advice be to young Indians abroad who want to build something of their own?
I mean, I would say start something small always. Like, do your background study, do a research about it, and then take a small step. And then, because this small step and then the research, whatever you are doing, it's going to be really matters. Like, because without that, we would have not been, we have not opened. Like before opening, we went to restaurants. We went to restaurants and then we tasted all the foods, and then we asked the public, like, what is something you miss as an Indian here. And then we also asked the European, do you know dosa? And and then they were like, the people who know dosa, they were like so crazy about dosa. So I feel like we did our market study, and then I still recommend everybody, whatever the field or anything, they have to do their market study and start something small.
All right, Mohan, thank you so much. We really need to get to our dosas this morning and get going with that breakfast, especially after looking at all those wonderful visuals. But thank you so much for joining us, and all the very best to you. We are into a very short break. Coming right up, we go across to a 9-year-old footballer, an Indian origin footballer, Urban Negi. He wants to one day win the World Cup for India. Currently, he's made headlines for signing with the Everton Football Club Academy in England. We'll go over to him, ask him all about his dreams and how he plans to fulfill them. We'll be right back with that conversation.
We have another breaking news coming in. We're given to understand that controversy has erupted after Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is seen pulling down a Muslim woman doctor's hijab during an appointment letter event in Patna. The viral video shocked officials and Deputy Chief Minister intervening, triggering outrage over conduct and cultural sensitivity at a government function. Opposition slams Nitish Kumar, questions his mental state. Have a look.
मेरा नहीं बल्कि पूरे देश की जनता का खून खोल उठा होगा यकीनन। नीतीश कुमार एक प्रोग्राम में एक महिला के नकाब को खींचते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। आप एक तरफ महिलाओं के सम्मान की बात करते हैं और दूसरी तरफ आप एक कार्यक्रम में महिलाओं का अपमान कर रहे हैं। पूरे देश की जनता से माफी मांगनी होगी। इस पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को भी एक्शन लेना चाहिए और ऐसे नेताओं को अपनी हरकतों से बाज रहना चाहिए।
देखिए, ये मैं शब्दों पे बखान नहीं कर सकती। वो बुजुर्ग हैं, लेकिन ये बर्दाश्त के काबिल नहीं है। आपने एक महिला का जिस तरफ से हिजाब को, मैंने भी वीडियो देखा, हटाने की कोशिश की, ये बहुत शर्मनाक है, बहुत शर्मनाक है। और अगर एक महिला होने के नाते ये आप किसी का हिजाब या सोचिए कि कोई दुपट्टा ओढ़ा हुआ है, आप उसको हटा रहे हैं, तो ये बिल्कुल बर्दाश्त के काबिल नहीं है। और मुझे लगता है कि इसमें हम लोग क्या ही कहें, उनको खुद पे अगर ग्लानि हो तो उनको खुद रिजाइन देना चाहिए। ये महिलाओं का बहुत बड़ा अपमान हुआ है।
So we have CNN News 18's Arunima live with us right now. Arunima, good morning and thank you for joining us on the broadcast. So, you know, a lot of people are there actually who are against the concept of hijab. We all know that. They are against the concept because they feel that it's taking away from hiding someone's identity, a woman's identity especially. But what explanation does the Chief Minister offer for physically pulling down the doctor's hijab publicly, and does he acknowledge that his actions crossed personal, professional and constitutional boundaries?
See, it's all about consent. People who are criticizing Nitish Kumar are pointing out that it is the woman's choice. I mean, you might have your own ideological position is humiliated in this way. And the reason they are using the word humiliation is because her consent is not taken. And the video also, at the end of the video, when her niqab is forcibly taken off, you see visible discomfort on her face. There are people on the stage who are laughing.
And welcome back. This morning we're also being joined by Urban Negi. He's a young footballer whose journey has started much earlier than most. Urban is just 9 years old and is already signed with the Everton Football Club Academy in England. He's an Indian origin footballer. Urban's journey began on local football grounds in London. He stood out, got the attention of scouts and is now training inside a Premier League club's youth system. Let's bring him in, ask him all about his big dreams and what he plans to do next. Good morning, Urban. Hi, hope you're doing well. Urban, how does it feel being part of Everton's Youth Academy, wearing that jersey for the first time?
I felt good that I got into the team, and I felt also excited and happy that I was a part of Everton Academy.
Urban, look at you dribbling the way you are. At what age did you start playing football?
I started playing football at 5 years of age, and then I just fell in love to it, and then now it's my favourite game to play, and I play it every day.
And do you have any interests outside of football? So are there any other games or any other sport that interests you?
Well, I play like a bit of bowling and some crazy golf.
Okay, some crazy golf it is. Okay. Urban, any changes you noticed as soon as you joined a Premier Academy? Any changes in your game, in your style, or the environment that you're training in?
So I felt changes that I had to make new friends because I was born in London and I played for Crystal Palace in London. And then the changes I felt were that it's going to be harder because I was on trial for them, so I had to work my hardest. And also I had to the changes were that they've got very different abilities too in London. So sometimes in London players are very dribbly and they dribble loads. And then players here, they do 1-2s, passes and tiki-taka.
You know, I can't get over these visuals of you dribbling the way you are. Urban, let's talk a little bit about football skills. Is it dribbling, passing or shooting? Which one is your favourite?
My favourite is probably shooting.
Okay.
I like scoring goals and also I like dribbling though, to beat defenders and send them to the shops. But probably shooting because I like scoring goals and doing celebrations.
Okay, now Urban, tell us a little bit about your big dream. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be, let's say in 5 years or 10 years from now?
I want to play for India and make them win the World Cup.
Oh wow, how lovely. And who's your favourite player, all-time favourite? someone you aspire to become someone you look up to and have been following for years now?
I aspire to become like Ronaldinho and have shooting like Ronaldo. And I want to become like them because they're great players and I look up to them.
Okay, Urban, what are your thoughts on Messi? He's been touring in India, he's been in India. Did you not think of coming here, meeting him?
Yeah, I probably will come to India. And I quite like Messi as well because I like his dribbling skills.
Okay, now this is a very important question and I must ask you this. For people your age, children your age watching this, how do you balance school and football, studies and your game?
Well, like I do school and I do all my maths and then I try to like do football as well. Like if I miss like a session of football, for example, I'll always be playing with the ball at home.
Okay, lovely. And are you treated like a star, like a football star by your schoolmates, your classmates? What's the reaction you get in school?
Well, they really amazed that I play for Everton. And when like I have a free day, for example, and I play with my ball at home, I play football with them, and they're like, "Wow, this kid's so good. We can barely tackle him."
Lovely. When you spoke just a short while ago about how you want to play for India, you want to help India win the World Cup. How do you exactly plan on doing that?
I think I just gotta keep on working hard, and then my dream will probably come true, and then I can hopefully help India win the World Cup, and then idolize more young football players to also play for India.
Urban, you've achieved a lot at a very young age and all the very best. May all your dreams come true. Thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us here on The Breakfast Club. And now we briefly shift our focus to our section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing in business insights. First, Indian markets are likely to open flat or with a negative bias as indicated by Gift Nifty. Asian equities opened lower and were trading in a narrow band as investors await cues from US economic data this week. Signs of Russia-Ukraine peace deal have put downward pressure on crude oil prices and gold remains stable at higher levels. Speaking of a sector in particular, winding wires are a critical input in transformer manufacturing. They account for approximately 10 to 30% of total transformer cost, and the segment therefore is a direct beneficiary of rising power generation, transmission and distribution capex. Will the IPO of the winding wire player strike the right connection with the investors? Watching out for that one. So don't forget to log into Money Control Pro to find out more about the wiring and component sector and other actionable insights on markets. It is the premier destination for all investing views and financial insights you will ever need. And well, that's all from me for today. Thanks for tuning in, being with us this morning. We'll see you at the same time, same place. Bye-bye.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We have another breaking news coming in. We're given to understand that controversy has erupted after Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is seen pulling down a Muslim woman doctor's hijab during an appointment letter event in Patna. The viral video shocked officials and Deputy Chief Minister intervening, triggering outrage over conduct and cultural sensitivity at a government function. Opposition slams Nitish Kumar, questions his mental state. Have a look.
मेरा नहीं बल्कि पूरे देश की जनता का खून खोल उठा होगा यकीनन। नीतीश कुमार एक प्रोग्राम में एक महिला के नकाब को खींचते हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। आप एक तरफ महिलाओं के सम्मान की बात करते हैं और दूसरी तरफ आप एक कार्यक्रम में महिलाओं का अपमान कर रहे हैं। पूरे देश की जनता से माफी मांगनी होगी। इस पर प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को भी एक्शन लेना चाहिए और ऐसे नेताओं को अपनी हरकतों से बाज रहना चाहिए।
देखिए, ये मैं शब्दों पे बखान नहीं कर सकती। वो बुजुर्ग हैं, लेकिन ये